We're live.
But now, did I miss anything about, anything I said about this is the first we learned this afternoon?
Got it
And
I
off
don't
my
have
computer.
anything.
we've got no agenda and we have no description.
I was
and-
emailed an agenda, so I saw.
No, we're not
Anyway,
questioning whether you sent it.
yeah.
We're questioning whether it was
A
sent.
slip up
To
somewhere.
us.
It was on the whole,
Everything.
the whole community board thing, it was
Yes,
separate
I-
agendas.
I looked there, but okay, whatever,
Anyway,
whatever.
it's done and I can circulate this,
No need.
if
Two
necessary.
items.
Two items.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, ready to roll?
And Jackie, I'm gonna be doing the resolutions this month, so I will pay particular attention to write things down.
Okay.
232.
So
So,
are we not gonna see any visuals on this?
so
We
I,
need to have this on YouTube, so.
Oh, yeah.
Can
How
we
can we
see
do
it
this
on
without
the
visuals?
small screen?
I don't know.
How can we, what is your timing? I mean, it's not your fault that we can't do visuals,
Okay.
but it's all about visuals.
right, so is there
Let me
some
ask-
way that,
Let me ask Jessie, if we could at least see it on the.
Even on that
Yeah.
computer would be maybe something we could work with.
Yeah, we just have to see it on one. too.
if it's posted on your
Press that button.
website,
I'm afraid to touch anything.
Just the red, where the red light is.
You want me to touch the red light?
Touch the red.
All right, you're responsible.
I'm responsible.
What did that do?
Made it a blue light.
Made a white light.
No, some people.
Didn't do anything. Oh. Did something,
what can I do?
but nothing helpful.
I live across the park. Do you want me to just go home, get my laptop and come back
We
with my
can see it
laptop?
on the laptop.
We can see it on this laptop, but it can't project on the screen. Is that the problem?
Yes, the problems with the, whatever it is that,
You mind if I just take a quick look?
I don't mind if you take it home with you.
That's why I came and robbed you guys. And so it's still not, no
No
signal.
signal.
No,
signal.
and Jessie, who's been in and out of our room with our staff member, she's quite the expert at all of this. But obviously, it's not just this tonight.
Hey, look,
Oh,
hey.
okay,
So
okay.
it just wasn't,
All right then.
We've
It
got
was the
menu.
magic touch.
it wasn't plugged in all the way.
So I'm gonna sit here and advance slides.
All right,
You're the hero of the night.
Isn't it the first thing on the list, make sure it's plugged in?
yes.
Now, these two
That we can all
gentlemen
understand?
here, one fixed half of what we were needing. And so let's be upbeat and get going.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Are we all set?
232.
Let's
Yeah,
move.
Okay,
Okay, so-
32.
I mean, I'd rather have it full screen, but I don't, I'm worried about like touching anything, so I'm just gonna leave it as is. So hello, everyone. My name is Jackie Pudu-Vallon. I'm the preservation consultant on this project. This is 232 West End Avenue, which is a Beaux-Arts style mansion located on the east side of West End between 70 and 71st. And the proposal is pretty simple. It's to replace infill at the entrance and on the front facade, to construct a rooftop addition, and to remove a rear addition. So currently this building, okay, try not to touch this. So here you can see it where it's located on the block plan. So currently this building most recently was used for an institutional purpose. So for that reason, it was able, my understanding is it was able to get this very large rear addition that currently extends to the rear lot line. And
If you're gonna go to the next one, just let me know, and I'm actually sharing from my computer.
sorry, next one, please.
Jessie, can we get full screen?
That's all right. This is good enough.
Yeah.
Thank you. So in any case, it was serving an institutional purpose, so that's why it got this large rear addition, but now it's returning to residential, and that is not going to be allowable by zoning, so that's why it has to take off the existing rear addition. Here are just streetscape photos showing you the east and west sides of the street. The photo on the left, you can see how diminutive this house is between the two apartment buildings. Next slide, please. So here's the entrance that I was talking about. Unfortunately, any vestige of historic entrance infill is gone, and it was replaced by this institution prior to designation with really just glass walls and glass doors. So that's what's photographed here. Next slide, please. here are this is the best historic photo I could find of the building, the 1940s tax photo. This is actually the high resolution tax photo, and we tried to zoom in to show you what the entrance originally looked like, and it looked like it was two windows separated by a wide mullion, wood mullion with wood panels underneath them. And, you know, it's, unfortunately, this photograph leaves it somewhat to conjecture, so which is why
So this is not original.
no, this is original.
But
This
Jackie,
is
just,
Okay.
there's no door. You said it's two windows. It looked, from the
Well,
photo, it looks like two windows.
That's
and-
what we
There must be
can,
a door.
that, I mean, yeah, I was gonna say, there must be a door with a side light and then a double hung window next to it, but because of the angle of the photograph,
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
can't exactly
I
tell
mean,
what was
there's a
there.
service door down there, but that's not the way
Right.
people would.
Right, the
Probably to
service
the
door is
left.
for the neighboring building, actually.
Oh,
But, yeah, so because this is the best photo we have and because it's hard to extrapolate what exactly was there, that's why this part of the presentation, this part of the proposal rather, also has to be presented at public hearing. But our intention is to try to replicate what was there originally.
And
mhm.
from what I see, the arch to the left, as you look, that's the doorway. The other one, you can see the panel at the bottom, it's fixed, right? So that would be my conjecture of the
Hard to see.
current
Mhm.
configuration.
Yeah.
Well, that's
The
what was
left
there, it's all
is
gone now.
partially hidden.
Yes,
is
but
hiding part
that
of
would
the
be
door.
something to
Yeah.
recreate. Okay, thank you.
Next-
Jackie, I'm so sorry to
yes.
have you, we keep asking you questions and I'm actually
That's okay.
answering it backwards, but could you just go back one slide to show us
Okay.
what it has looked like now?
It's just glass.
Yeah, and is that the same, it looks like it's the same great big arch, but somehow it looks bigger in this one. Yeah.
What's all that? Those gates or fences on this?
Those were later railings installed by the institution that was there. It was a cultural center, mainly a synagogue and a Holocaust museum inside.
Okay.
And that, it was my understanding that that former owner installed that ironwork. And there's no intention of removing it, but it is a grandfathered condition and
So it's gonna stay.
it's gonna stay, maybe probably painted black, but it's gonna stay.
And the railings
Yes,
as well.
yes,
Okay, so the iron.
yes.
Okay.
But you know, if you have comments on the ironwork, we're happy to hear them.
Yes,
but for-
painted black.
Yes.
Well, is it iron or is it?
I think it's
Brass.
bronze or plain, or plated paint.
It's,
And,
it's
and
paint,
it's,
yeah.
it should be left. It's part of the
It's part of the history.
ongoing
Well,
changes.
Mhm.
I'm
So I
not
wouldn't
suggesting
take it.
it shouldn't, I just asked
all right.
if it was going to.
No, but
sorry,
I
said
think
go
it's
backwards.
appropriate to keep it.
Yeah, so there's no intention to touch that ironwork.
Okay,
right now,
great.
anyway,
Except the paint.
Except probably the paint.
Okay.
Next, go forward, please, next slide.
That's what we have.
And the next one. So this is just the 1980s tax photo, and unfortunately, I didn't receive the designation photo from Landmarks in time for this meeting, so that's eventually going to go on this slide as well. But in any case, I was told by Landmarks that what was there at designation was the glass infill that you see in the earlier photo. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the proposed condition, the full building elevation and the close-up elevation. So again, it'd be a door with panel, you know, a solid panel at bottom to match the panels underneath the proposed windows with that wide center mullion.
So all of that
Mhm.
is new,
Yes,
replacing what's there now.
trying to
But-
replicate what was there originally, as far as we can tell.
So an
Is it
offset.
double doors?
No, it's a single door,
Single door,
with-
the others are fixed.
yes,
So it's
and
just
the one wider window would be operable. Swing out, but the windows on the sides would be fixed.
Off-center door, center panel
Oh,
made of
Wood,
wood center panel.
I ask, it looks like only 3 floors were the original. Something happened to the roofing that you can see on the left in the picture. So it's
Yes,
kind of a hybrid.
Are you asking? if
You've
the
got
top
half-
floor is all?
Is the roof, is the roof in question?
No, well, yes. I mean,
Well,
we're
yeah,
proposing
because they're
rooftop
gonna,
Oh.
they're gonna.
But no, that's the original roof, that mansard with the.
Exactly.
arch. Yeah, that's
So the
original.
question is, this application will go from where the, the top curved window upward will be new.
Rooftop addition.
A setback rooftop addition,
Right.
yes.
Okay, thank you.
Should I move on from this slide?
Yes.
Or just have these panels down there wood as well?
Yes, all of it would be wood frame windows.
So wood,
How much taller will it be than these now?
Probably about
10 feet.
10 to 12 feet more.
The top section, I see
Looks
it's
like
10.
10
but
plus.
The roof looks like it's gonna be taller, but
12, and then you've got the grate, or the, whatever the.
Yeah, it's 10-4 and then the railing.
let's let it
railing,
continue with
Okay.
it.
which is
All right,
gonna be
next
another,
slide, please.
what, 6, maybe.
Okay, so here's just some section drawings. If you have questions
Ah,
about
so
the
these
details
are
and the
the
profiles.
And no attachment.
How far back is this panel door and window setback from the
Yeah.
step? Or is it- it's
Well,
an exterior
it is,
porch essentially.
it's
232.
going to be set back to where we think it was originally, which is about 2 feet back from the
From the
opening.
present.
Yeah,
So currently it's
it's about 2 feet.
it's at the front of the facade and it would be, or maybe not. but
No, it's the
set back
the
further.
existing glass walls and glass doors are already set back well into this sort of.
And would it be the same setback?
Yes.
Same setback.
Next slide, please. Okay, so now we get to the roof. So there's already a huge conglomeration of mechanical equipment on the roof. It's actually pretty difficult to even walk around the roof, so these are the best photos I can get. So we have a bulkhead, mechanical enclosures, ductwork. It's a very, very busy packed roof already. Next slide. Next slide, please. So here is the existing and proposed roof plans. So on the existing, you can see where there's already bulkhead, skylight, a lot of ductwork. It's the footprint of the proposed addition. The addition will be set back 25 feet from the front. It is visible from the sides, unfortunately,
Which is the
because
front, Jackie? Is it over on the right, this front?
what's in there?
Yeah, where's West Ham Avenue in the front of the building? Is it on the right?
West End is going to be, oh yeah, it's, sorry, it's on a stage left or stage right. It's to the, to that side of the.
Right. Okay, so the setback,
should call
like,
it
the roof
something.
terrace is proposed roof terrace is essentially the setback.
Yes.
Yeah.
Say that, yes.
And this addition then would be a bedroom and a bathroom and maybe some elevator.
Some
Yes.
questions about the elevator. It's kind of tiny. Is that going to be modified? And will that go up to the roof? Because right now it looks like it does.
Yeah, there is an elevator now.
And that will stay? So the
Yes.
bulkhead and everything will remain?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Why do you say there's an existing
Oh,
elevator?
I'm sorry.
There's a elevator.
Staircase.
There's an
Staircase.
elevator in there now, but it doesn't go up to the roof.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
what
so
I,
it
that's what I
will
meant.
It's going to extend to the roof.
Yes.
Got it.
Thank you.
Next slide, please. So here are sections through the roof, existing section, proposed section, to show you the heights of the addition. About 10 feet tall, mechanical equipment on top of it, railings on top of it as well. See how it's being angled back to minimize any visibility over the front facade, and set back 2 feet from the rear facade.
So you're maybe going to get to this, Jackie, but
Sure.
this is an somewhat unusual brownstone. First of all, sitting there in the middle of a block flanked by two large apartment buildings. And it has, I think, a small alleyway on
Yes.
each side.
Yes, we're getting to that.
So, okay, and you may, I assume you will, with And that's the reason that this rooftop is visible is because these two alleyways, so you can kind of see it up there. So the materials that would be visible, and maybe I'm premature here, what materials on the two sides are going to be visible?
Stucco.
What color?
It is the green colored stucco, but we can adjust that. You're welcome to welcome your comments as well on that. Should I move to the next slide? Next
Yeah.
slide, please. So existing and proposed west and east elevations, so we're looking at front and back.
Proposed was proposed.
Well, okay. Proud
So why are there doors, west, because then it
to the
goes to the terrace that's at the front of the building,
Right.
facing west, yeah.
Right.
And the rear is very close to the rear, not the lot line, but the
The rear
building, the
facade.
rear facade.
Right.
And
Two-
just has
2 foot
windows.
setback, which is a dimension Landmarks has approved many times for
And then,
rooftop additions.
and then a ladder from the fifth floor addition up to another level of a,
Just to service,
another-
to be able to service mechanical units on top of.
so
the
it's
roof
not
of the
a
addition.
used terrace up there on top.
Right, it's just where mechanicals would be kept.
And what material would the railing be
Just a,
and ladder? It's a
Painted
ladder,
iron.
right? It's not
Yeah.
ladder, not stairs.
just painted iron.
What's the whole, what material is the whole limestone?
It's a limestone
Limestone,
house,
yes.
yeah.
Gray
So
line.
it's a gray,
What would West End Avenue facade be on that?
well, what?
That
I-
elevation,
The same color stucco, so a cream colored stucco.
But set back, so not visible from the west, yes.
Visible from north and south
Yeah.
as you're going north and south on West End Avenue. Why don't we go to the next slide,
Yeah.
please? So we get to, okay, so this is just a sightline study documenting that when you're standing directly across the street, across West End Avenue, you don't see it. It's when you start moving to, one side or the other.
Because you're seeing it on an angle.
Yes, exactly. Next slide, please. So anyway, oh, and I should mention, oh wait, I'm sorry,
The
go back, sorry. Okay, so this is our existing building section, and just so you can understand, that's what the gigantic rear addition currently looks like, that's going away. Next slide, please. Okay, so here's the proposed. Again, showing the addition angled back to limit its visibility in conjunction with the front facade when directly across the street. And the lack of the rear addition now at the back. So you can see the red dotted line indicates the volume of the existing building.
So Jackie, when the rear addition is removed, what does that leave as the depth of the rear yard?
Hopefully we have that on another plan. I don't remember
Okay,
exactly
maybe
right
we'll
now.
get to that. I mean, because it's on an avenue and not a side street, it may not be the typical.
Mhm.
30.
No,
Setback. But what we'll replace it is just, a brick facade and you can see an open deck with a stair going down into the backyard.
I live in a big block, tall building, and the side of limestone, so unusual.
Mhm.
Both of them have 30-foot setbacks, they have full backyards.
Yeah.
So this probably does.
But it's, sometimes it's different when it's on. the-
No.
Okay, next
I
slide,
will, yeah.
please.
20 slides to go.
So one photo of the mock-up construction of the roof. I don't know where the other one went. It somehow dropped out of this. Next slide, please. Okay, so now these photos are taken walking north to south. So we're at the corner with 71st. And as you can see, as you get, what I did was I had the regular shot and then the zoom in shot next to it. So as you're progressing south, this is what you see.
Pretty much over here is
Right,
Yeah.
right. Next slide, please. I would note that the existing mechanicals are themselves from many angles already visible. Like what you're seeing is this gray massing here. That's the existing bulkhead that's there. This is existing ductwork that you're seeing over the front facade.
That goes or stays.
So that's going. So I mean, this ductwork is going, but this will become the railing on top of
Mhm.
what would be the new addition. But what I'm trying to point out is that you have an existing addition that's already visible, there.
Those side walls, just old brick
stucco.
stucco. Those
Yeah.
red rooms.
Oh, you're talking about the full, no, the full facade, the full lot line wall is brick, of course. But this bulkhead that's there is
Are they
stucco.
gonna do anything with that brick?
If necessary, I might point it. That's about
That's
it.
it?
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot line wall. It's, you know,
So there are no windows on, even though there are two alleyways between this building and the,
there are
or
existing,
are there are lot line
windows.
windows?
there are existing windows.
Mm.
You can see
And,
them.
Yeah, for sure.
right, so
But they're lot
there's
line
no
windows.
work proposed at the lot line windows in any case. Next slide, please. This is as we're walking further south to show you what becomes visible. Again, you can already just point out that there's existing ductwork that is visible. So at least, and again, this ductwork would go away, and what you would see is just a cream colored plain wall. This ductwork here in the front would go away. Next slide. And now as we progress more south, it starts to get blocked by that neighboring apartment building. And the last two photos on the right are showing that, that you do see a bit of it as you're just standing on the sidewalk next to the building. It was hard to get that photo because of the sidewalk bridge that's there. So those were the only 2 points that I could stand and see something.
Why is there a sidewalk bridge? Has it been ongoing work? or-
Neighboring building,
Oh,
neighboring
nothing
building.
on this building.
Right.
going on right now.
right? But the neighboring building is obligated to
Yeah,
extend it.
We're going through
Yeah.
it now on both sides.
Yeah.
Don't ask.
Yeah.
We have lawsuits pending with
Oh,
our
no.
building, the 2 brownstones on either
Oh.
side,
Yeah.
and the other apartment house on the corner, making lawyers.
Are there any slide? I think I just have a little bit more. We'll just wrap it up. Next slide, please. Yeah, so this is just a block plan to show you where there are other existing rooftop, one-story rooftop additions within the block. So we're contextual in that respect.
What's the height?
1 story. You mean in terms of feet of these other ones?
No, of the
Sure is 10.
House.
About 10
yours.
feet, 10 feet.
So the crosshatched area that is on your building, that's the rooftop addition?
Yeah, that's the
there.
proposed 1-story addition.
And that is actually telling us, if we could measure the depth of the rear, of what the rear yard is, which is about the same depth as the rooftop addition, whatever that is. That is, there is
Possibly, I don't know if this
that
is to
rectangle
scale.
behind it, no, I mean, I think it's, but the rectangle behind it is your rear yard.
Right, which
There's
will now
no-
be your
nothing
rear
built-
yard
Nothing
again.
built on it, other than a staircase down, right?
Right, an open, open metal deck and a staircase down. Next slide, please. So this is as much of a photo of the of the rear as we can get. So this is what's existing at the upper floors, and this this weird round thing, we call that a skylight. That's the current roof of the 2-story rear addition that now extends to the rear lot line,
which is this.
which is going away.
What about that
Diving
balcony
board.
thing?
Well,
We are proposing to keep a balconette, not that particular one, but to replace it with something else.
SD?
Similar projection, yes. So next slide, please.
Can I just ask
Yes.
quickly?
Yeah.
Is there an escape
Fire escape?
planned? How are you going to be handling that? Or is there enough room between the sides of the building?
I don't have an answer to that. As far as I know, this meets egress requirements, if that's what you mean.
Just if you could verify what that is, because these are kind of difficult projects
Okay.
to.
Well, this would be a
Come into-
one-family house,
That's
so.
what I was gonna ask that.
Probably
so
doesn't
that's
still-
require it.
It still does it under certain codes where you have buildings up against open windows. and things like
But it looks like you're making a lot of changes on the rear with making a wider balcony and a set of 4 conjoined windows.
Right, just,
Below that, you're raising the grazing sills? No, hard to say.
no, just changing the windows that are in the same, I think it's meant to be the same size openings, but you're right, it does look look a bit longer.
Yeah. And
here.
then when you remove the rear yard addition, you're adding 2 levels of 4 conjoined windows and some sort of a balcony.
Right, right.
With with steps and a iron rail going down to the,
But those aren't very well, they're well hidden, correct? So these are tertiary or secondary windows in the back. This is, it's a proposed rear elevation.
Right. So I'm not sure, what's your question?
Is that a rear wall?
Yes.
And it's only for the tenant owner,
Yeah.
whatever?
Mhm.
Okay, and can you see that through other,
No,
okay,
no, the rear facade is not visible from anywhere.
thank you.
I was
Okay.
gonna ask about that too, because this, again, because it's not a typical donut situation, because it's on the avenue and flanked by 2 large apartment buildings. What is the visibility of this rear yard from other donut-like locations around on the north and south, 71st and 70th, and maybe as far over as.
Well, I mean, I'm sure people who have windows, that look out into the interior of the block and see this rear facade.
Certainly looks like an improvement over what's there now.
Over what's
I
there
I wouldn't say so.
now? And are those French doors or what's on the
Yes,
first floor? And then below it, the basement level,
yes.
is there a door there or?
Yes,
or-
those are doors that would,
those are
The
just-
sliding doors, because it looks like there's
I
not
think
much
there's, I think there's
space.
sliders.
That would make
I don't
sense.
think we saw, at least I didn't see, anything about your postings. I think they
Oh,
did.
yeah,
I,
it's
You
all
did?
in
Yeah,
there.
but I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So anyway, did you post around 71st and
Yeah.
70th
Yeah,
Street?
the
I
It's all-
walked
it's-
past, there was
It's all
classic
uploaded in the
posters.
drive.
on the corners and on the building itself. Next slide, please. This is just a plan for the existing rear yard, which is really the roof of an addition, of the proposed rear yard.
Jackie, why would
Yes.
it be entirely hardscape? I mean, in this committee, we try to really encourage, not just permeability between pavers, but greenery. Why are you looking at
I don't have that
plain
answer.
hardscape?
I don't have that answer, so I can, if this committee suggests introducing.
We try to do, we always suggest it.
Encourage
Okay.
I mean, there's not a tree, there's not a bush, there's,
Native grass.
and not clear
maybe
to what extent even the these pavers are green.
Grass.
You know what the pavers are proposed to be?
Bluestone,
And, but how would they be sitting?
on sand. Understanding, but this is,
With mortar or with?
no, just
Just
sand.
It's better than.
I mean, 2 layers of gravel and then sand and then sand between.
All right, well, I suspect we're gonna propose some green.
Okay, next slide, please. So these are just axonometric views to help you give a conclusion to how the massing will be changing for this building. So isometric view number 1 shows the 2-story addition. Number 2 shows you the rooftop addition, which again will be set back as far as possible from the front to try to mitigate its visibility. But again, unfortunately, we do have those open alleys on either side that make it visible. And again, at the back, it would just be an open stairway and a deck.
If this is accurate and one against the other and you're removing the big volume over there, it looks as if this protruding balcony and then the stairs goes almost to the rear lot line. So that whole paved rear yard we saw actually has this balcony and staircase looming over almost all of it. Is that right?
No, that one looks like a third.
Not really.
I mean, isn't all this the paving
Yeah.
area we saw?
Yeah,
So why does it go so
Because
way
yeah,
back?
why?
It's because you have to have a balcony that comes out enough that it's wide enough that it's accessible, and the staircase has to be wide enough, and the rise and run has to be this. This is totally appropriate and totally normal.
Well.
Staircase has to be.
Yeah, this makes
Certain
perfect
angle.
sense to me.
Is that, yeah, more pictures?
I think I have at least a conclusion coming. I think we're almost done.
Good.
Next slide, please. Okay, just existing and proposed building sections again for you to be able to compare and see. Next slide. And that's it, that's the conclusion.
Okay.
So, to me, this is, pretty sensitively approached work where they're trying to restore the front facade to its original condition, create a rooftop addition that will, yes, be visible, but hopefully recede against the sky, being a light color. Also, not be that much of a departure from the size of the additions and various mess of mechanical units that are already on that roof, and restore at least some open space. Yes.
I'm gonna break your heart, but
Mhm.
I'm gonna ask it anyway. This building has enormously beautiful stone, et cetera.
Mhm.
And then to go to the top,
Mhm.
first penthouse, and then the iron railing. Is there money or desire to put something that doesn't look like a barbecue in the park or something like that? Because this is, the building is really very pretty.
Well, that
It's
railing
setback.
that you see, the railing you see on top of the mansard roof, that's what you're talking
Mhm.
about? That's not gonna be visible.
Well, you say that.
The rooftop
No,
addition will be visible, but the railing won't actually be visible
Well,
from anywhere.
I hope.
Weston,
Because-
I live across this, like a block away. Weston Avenue is not wide enough for you to see on top.
You cannot
You
see
can't see up
anything,
there.
even from down the street.
I mean, if you like go to the third floor of the building across the street, fine, you can see it, but there's no way to see that from
All right,
on the street.
I trust your eye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any questions? Comments? Take a vote?
Seems
Are you guys here to make,
What about-
sorry, okay.
What about discussion?
Well, we're asking you to comment.
No, you asked for questions.
Should I
No, I
exit?
didn't comment.
No, you can
No,
hang
no.
out.
Stay? Okay,
Yeah, all right, if you want to leave,
No.
you're welcome to leave, but it may be helpful if we have questions.
Yeah.
that's fine.
I have a comment,
Mhm.
which actually has something to do with the question I asked you about the side.
Mhm.
To me, the most unattractive part of this
Mm.
project is the old brick walls.
Mm.
So anything that could be done, generally, we don't favor painting
No,
brick.
I think that it's important to have the brick there. That's the original brick.
Yeah.
I think doing something to that would be
Yeah, the landmarks-
counter to historic preservation.
The Landmarks Commission definitely wouldn't want the brick to be painted.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Because that's bad for vapor permeability.
Hmm.
I'm sure the owner, will clean them,
or clean it,
point them.
do something.
Yeah, but it's
It
a lot
looks like
line.
it's in pretty bad shape.
I mean,
Mhm.
when I had looked at it, the
Yeah.
brick looks like normal brick that you would have on a side yard. The row house was built, I assume, with other row houses
Yeah.
next to it. The row houses came down, like that's the original brick, and I
No,
think that's,
Is it as discolored as it looks on the slides?
yeah, but I think you run into this problem of like, if you, we already have this problem on the Upper West Side where when buildings do brick replacement, they replace it to a clean brick and then it looks worse.
I
So
know,
I say
I-
that
I know, I live
Yeah.
in a building. like
So I
that,
think we should
and we're
just-
doing more of it.
we should
Look-
just leave it
looks
where it is.
worse.
And if in 15 years, the guy decides, or the owner decides to clean the brick, great. If not, I think it looks fine. It says,
Yeah, I mean, but he's going to have to clean the brick anyway, because there are gonna be crevices and issues.
Well, if it needs to
I
be-
mean,
I guess a
potentially.
broader question about that, is there work that is being proposed that is not subject to that's for staff level, or that is not
But then,
subject to?
but then Klari, it's not.
Yes.
I
Yes.
understand, it's asking if there's other work going
So far, to my knowledge, just window replacement, but that's gonna be handled at
on.
staff
Staff
level.
level?
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, I mean, interior alterations.
Yeah.
Okay,
Well, I mean, I like some of this. I'm fine, I think, with the attempt to, best you can do with limited historical information. Replicate the original entrance. It's a lot better than the current one. I don't love the rooftop addition in part because of the peculiar circumstance. There are alleyways on both sides that make it visible, which would not be otherwise the case. I hate, however, the protruding balcony and that staircase that go basically cover the entire, what otherwise would be a rear yard.
And by
And-
balcony, do you mean the balcony or do you mean the deck?
Well, it's
The rear.
hanging out.
The
rear
The
deck.
deck that's
floor.
lower down.
Yeah, yeah. And I hope that we will make a strong suggestion, however we otherwise address this, that the materials used in the ground level be both permeable and contain a whole lot of green stuff, however we say that. So I am really not quite ready to say yes to the rooftop addition. I am ready to say yes to the doorway stuff. That's right.
So you want to vote separately on this?
I think, I mean,
Well, let's hear what everybody has to
yeah,
say.
I was gonna say, I think like the visibility is so minimal. The fact that there's existing mechanical equipment that is visible today, that's being removed,
That's
that
good.
you can see far more than you're gonna be able to see this, makes me totally comfortable with it. The fact that they're trading a 2-story gigantic rear yard for a tiny, like 1 room on the roof, like I see no problem with this. I am shocked that they did not ask for more, and honestly could not be happier with this application, especially since that building has been, in rough shape my entire life.
It's had its history.
I would just say, Klari, also, I live on the second floor and I can see it's a similar situation as a brownstone next
Yeah.
door, with a stairway, an iron stairway
Yeah.
leading down into, unfortunately, a totally hardscaped backyard, but the location seems to be similar to this, which is right up inside, and it looks worse on the diagram than it is actually, with the entire width of the yard, that staircase, they're pretty narrow and it becomes pretty unobtrusive. It's the least offensive thing that these people next to me have done, is the
Yeah,
stairway.
no, I hear you. Jackie, if I might, guys, ask one more question. How does that, and the answer may be that it's totally legal, I just don't know. But how does that protruding balcony that's, as Adam or somebody said, deep enough to chair on? I don't think he said that, but anyway, it's not a Juliet balcony, it's you can put a chair on a table deck.
Yeah.
How does that protrusion and the staircase intersect with whatever is, I believe, even at this site, a 30-foot rear yard requirement? Are those, do those not count?
It doesn't,
It's as of, I mean,
They don't-
the deck and the stair is as of right. The
Okay,
reason
that's what
why
I'm
we have to
asking.
remove the addition is because it's
No,
not
that I
as of
understand.
right, going
Right.
back to a residential use. So, I mean, I'm sure the architect has done his homework, but what's as of right,
Except the one next to me
taking
has
off a
the
huge
same
piece of the building.
configuration. So,
it'd also be great if that building ever does convert to multifamily, then both people have access, so I like it.
That's true.
That's
Yeah,
very unlikely.
We can dream.
you never know.
Okay, what's your,
Yeah, I have a lot of questions which have been answered. I think the front will be nice, or I think I do think the rooftop's gonna look better than what we got now. And I'm kind of with Klari on the, stairway for my building. Might skip the whole thing, but it's not my building, right? And so it seems reasonable that, if that's the use that they want to have access from the first floor. With Klari on the greenery. Request that. Otherwise, I think it's sensitively done.
Well, I'm kind of sitting on the fence. Some of your thoughts in terms of how much to reclutter the stepped pieces. I mean, yes, it's wonderful, but they're very narrow, and they are the fence of choice. They're good, but it just seems just piling on top of things. I think it's a mistake, because the other issue is the width of that balcony, which I didn't ask initially. I'm asking you now. What is the depth?
The balcony or the deck?
Both. Well, both.
The deck would be basically the width of the building.
Okay.
I forget if that's 25 feet.
The depth of it.
Oh, the depth of it, I'm sorry.
Well,
Yeah.
both.
I have to look at a plan.
Well,
It
think
looks
it's-
like it's about 6 or 8 feet.
I think it's 8 feet, but I'm not sure.
I'm just a little,
full width.
it looks great in paper, but it looks very cramped in terms of the final work. And if you could work some magic there, I think it would help both the owner and the neighborhood. Because I think it's too much.
I agree with Klari, I agree with not much else. I think the backyard, from what it was, is an improvement. I think it's attractive. It's not visible from any public way. I think the facade is excellent. And I walked over there and I didn't see the netting because I didn't think to look in the alleys. But I could not see anything from West End Avenue or from the side streets as I walked down there. So I think it's, I like it.
What I'm hearing, I think, just to keep things moving, is that we probably have a majority for a resolution saying it's appropriate, we want a better, we do not want hardscape in the backyard.
I think that's correct, Adam, but I still would prefer, if we can, to split it so that we have separate votes on the front and the rooftop addition. Should we do that? And I gotta write this resolution, so I gotta get it straight.
Whatever you
can write whatever you want.
Yeah, right.
To work with you.
Never mind what we said here, I can.
So,
write what I want.
so
Let's do the facade first.
front facade,
Facade, yep. You're here.
okay,
Yes, with a recommendation.
Well, we're not there.
Railing
Oh, be
be
painted.
painted black.
Here.
sure.
Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, so it's 6-0 We have no other voting members.
Yep.
And recommendation that all of the railings, which are numerous, aggressive.
Thankfully not really. And then,
There's lovely green color on 67th Street.
and then,
Are we wavering on the black? Wait a minute, guys. I gotta write this.
A muted color, black or a muted.
not white,
Not white.
not white.
And not gold.
And not gold.
Not
So
white
I
or
mean, what
gold.
are we saying?
A muted color, black or a muted color.
Or
Make it
dark.
simple, leave it black.
Or a dark, very dark green. There's
We just, I
lovely,
think, my understanding is we
beautiful-
don't want
Oh,
We don't want
silver, gold, or white, right?
Well, the wood under the windows and the center panel are gonna be, as proposed, painted black. So I don't think we want to look for green or gray. I think.
So then let's just go with black.
Everybody okay?
Here.
Okay.
And then for the other one, we want to do we need to do rooftop addition? And can we add into that the not hardscape, or do we need
Oh,
to do
yeah.
3?
Well, wait a
It
minute.
should be separate.
It should be separate,
It
I
seems a
guess, 'cause
little
we all
crazy
go
to
for the
have
not hardscape. but
3.
Anyway, it's only a recommendation, so how do we deal with that?
Well, I'm just saying that when
Yeah,
we go
no, I
to full
understand.
board, we're gonna have
Yeah.
3. So I was,
No, through resolution.
yeah,
What he's
Why
saying is
don't
we're
we-
all for the no hardscape,
Yeah.
but some of us are wavering on the,
so I would suggest that we put them together for the sake of not annoying everyone at full board.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Yeah, why don't we just do the
rooftop
whole
is appropriate.
project with a list of recommendations?
no, we're doing 2, I think we're doing 2 votes.
Okay.
But the rooftop addition and. we
And
can-
rear facade together.
Rooftop addition
Oh,
and
and
rear
rear facade.
facade, and with a recommendation
for that.
without no hardscape,
Oh,
Okay.
no.
Or softscape,
not hardscape for softscape.
permeability and some greenery or whatever.
Sure,
Yeah, we want a significant amount of greenery. And we want hardscape
But
That's
it's very hard to,
that's permeable.
Yes, but it's very hard to, at this stage, predict what plantings are going to be in the back. It's,
I think we're okay. I
We're
feel
not
pretty, I
attempting-
feel,
We're not attempting to
Look,
predict. we
I
just
trust
wanna
Klari
say
to get this
that
right for the sake of everything. Shall we take a vote?
Yeah.
Sure. All right, all in favor?
Rear yard addition rooftop.
Okay,
yes.
so
Verbiage.
5 against,
Yeah, I just can't get for this.
right, so we'll go
So
5,
to
1
1
to
to
0,
0 to 0. I mean, I'm completely with you, as you know,
Yeah.
So
Okay.
should I happen to open my mouth at the full board, I will support the greenery,
Yep.
but not the rest. Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right,
Thank you all.
Becky, nice to see you.
When are you on to LPC? You know,
We don't have a date. If we have a date, it's late June. But I don't remember now if the staff person gave me a definitive answer.
At the end of the meeting.
All right. Let us know.
Say something about
All right,
They'll
thank
let us
you.
know.
About what?
Children's Museum. After we finish.
That's it?
is that, now we got the other one.
Wow, we got-
Yeah.
We got the other one.
We got the other one.
New owner,
Where are the
is one of you
others?
the new owner, the newish owner, or?
I am, yeah. You prefer I sit there?
I think you have- you have
to
sit
there.
Do you need, do you need this?
I hope I don't.
Okay.
Can you tell us your names?
Sure, my name is Altin Batska,
Let's get the spelling.
Altin,
Last name?
last name is Batska.
And you are?
Mostava, MOS.
Uh-huh.
Osman, OSMAN,
And you are
the architect,
architect.
owner architect.
Wait a minute, owner architect.
No,
No,
he's
no,
the
Owner, architect,
Owner.
right,
My
right,
apologies. That was a visual
right.
thing.
Okay. And it is, again, the address is
381
381, right?
West End Avenue.
Sure looks a lot better now than it did 6 years ago,
Sure,
7 years ago.
it's a beautiful building.
Was it 381?
381.
Correct. It's the corner of 78th and West End Avenue. It's the northwest corner. Really beautiful building. And it's actually been before this board.
Recording in
So you guys
progress.
recall.
What happened to our recording before?
So once again, this 381 West End Avenue was before this board. And you guys had reviewed that years ago.
It was
with the previous-
2018.
Yes.
For what?
Yeah, ton of stuff.
Ton of stuff, but just to put this together, I personally was not on this committee then, nor Madge.
I don't
He's
think
on
I
Zoom.
was
He's
on
on the Zoom.
Yeah.
I'm on Zoom,
But-
I'll try to share the screen.
I think you
But Jay,
kind of
you
still have
were, I
to keep
think.
this on
In 2008.
because he's using that as a microphone.
I don't
After
have
we
this
split.
committee.
Yeah, 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 that's fine. It's these guys.
Yeah.
You're good.
So I think you're
I
probably,
was,
I think you may be the only person
I
other
probably
than
was-
maybe Paige who was,
no page
who heard
wasn't
the first
on.
time. She
Oh,
wasn't.
so
I was probably co-chairing.
Maybe you were by then.
Well, we'll
right.
see. Thankfully, it's just small changes.
Yeah.
Sorry.
When I see the picture, it'll bring it.
Right, yeah.
Bring it back.
It's part of a series of row houses along West End Avenue, basically stretching from 78th Street to 79th Street.
But it's a
Present right,
corner.
Spread the same.
1836? 1886, right, it's the west side.
On the west end of West.
I'm used to the west
West
side.
side.
So I actually was on CB2's
Ah,
board for preservation for 6 years. That's actually how I knew Jackie. So I was sitting where you guys were.
Mhm.
And then I moved to Brooklyn and then they,
our
There we are.
very
And they-
dear
it's like-
former chair and former member of this committee and former everything around here is now the district manager at Board 2,
oh, yeah, who?
Mark Dillon.
Mark Dill.
Oh, well, we didn't overlap.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
he's the last 6 months or something.
Right, yeah. Yeah, because I,
All right.
Well, thank you, everybody. So my wife and I purchased this building in 2021.
3 years after it appeared from this board.
Mm.
There's two things we won't discuss today, but we'll discuss today. The agenda is, and I'm sorry about that overlap.
It's fine.
So the side facade window reconfiguration and the basement entrance relocation. But before, I'd like to give you a project recap of where we are, more like a timeline of what happened.
Again, two things are before this board.
Okay.
The side facade, and they're in the agenda.
When you say side facade, you mean the west,
The 78.
or the 78th Street?
No, the alley.
Yeah.
The alley.
Well,
It's
that's
the alley on 78th Street facing west.
right, so it's actually the facade is the west facade
Yeah.
It is.
that
Yeah.
you see through the alleyway, because the facade shall equal west,
I'm
all right,
actually calling it the side facade.
right,
because
okay, so
what
that's,
the-
yeah,
That's what the board resolution called it, so I'm just trying to.
Okay,
fix
yeah.
it.
I'm quoting you guys.
so that's one thing
That's
on it, and
The
the second thing on tonight is,
the basement entrance.
Right.
Along West End Avenue. So two things.
Right.
So, Paul, please.
Thank you. So I always love this quote from the New York Times. They wrote about this row house, a blazing red that reflects the sea of brown.
yeah,
I found it interesting. So I first was introduced to this building when I was back at City College studying architecture in the late 90s. So it was one of my assignments to go and describe the building and the features. And I actually noticed since back then that the corner house didn't withstand the test of time as good as the rest of the building block. You can see all the elements there, all the windows, the arch windows are preserved on the rest of the row house, and then the corner house was decimated over time. It's part of the West End Collegiate District. It was designated as a landmark in 1984. So the reason why I remember the building, it was because it was designed by this very young architect at the time. He was only 23 years old.
did he design the whole row?
Frederick
Yeah, yeah.
White, yes, he
Oh, yeah.
did. And sadly, he died 1 year later. Yeah. So at 23, he achieved all this. And I was 27 when I saw this. I'm like, what am I doing?
Not good to
But,
do that.
yeah, it's quite a nice story. So this is the first, the oldest historical photo that's been in circulation that everybody found. So a lot of this material was presented to this board by the previous owners.
And when is this photo? Oh,
1940s.
1940s.
So this is a photo from 1979, so roughly it's 40 years later, and you can see a lot of the elements disappears, except this bay window here, and I'm going to point it out because it's important for our discussion. So this bay window disappeared, as you can see, it was flattened out. All these arch windows on top, they were decimated. These windows were shortened down. And then
wider.
no,
No?
not really,
Yeah,
just shorter.
Mm.
And then the roof, as you can see, was, all this slate roof was gone. So it was in bad shape. So that brings us to 2018, when the board had a resolution on this building. So you heard the previous owners and the previous architects. Previous architects did a fantastic job, by the way. I was very happy with what they designed and what they presented. So I highlighted some of the main items from the board resolution that are worth. Basically, went to rebuild the two-story bay window, restore original window openings. Whatever I described here, it was included in the resolution. Something I can't describe here was create additional window openings and modify the existing penetration pattern on the side facade. That's what that is, that alley facade, the west facade, right?
That they're not seeing in these photos.
Correct.
Yeah,
You're not
that's
seeing
it.
this photo, correct. And then they reopen the airway and its windows. So we will talk about that. That kind of changed over the years. And then excavate a full 7'6" cellar.
So has all this been done?
Yeah,
We'll get there. We'll get there. So the rooftop addition, there was a rooftop addition that was proposed in front of this board. It was not approved by the board.
Or
It was-
you'll get there.
LPC, I think they approved it with some modifications. But again, this was before my time. And reconstruct the east chimney. As you can see here, this chimney, it's a shared chimney between this building and the neighboring building. It was gone by 1979 or probably before. So it was not included in the board resolution. It was not included in the scope of work for reasons I think I know, but we will discuss later. So this is how I found the building in 2021. Both of our boys were going to college at the time, so my wife and I decided to move to the Upper West and share this beautiful island with you folks. And I saw the building. It wasn't an attractive price, but boy, it needed a lot of work. But I made it my mission to return this building to where it was, in 1886 rather. And it proved to be quite a challenging project, to be honest, but I went on it with my eyes open. I knew from the beginning that what I was getting myself into. On top of that, there was a ongoing lawsuit between the previous owner and the owner next door because of this addition, the rooftop addition that was disapproved by this board. So I want to bring you through some of the restorations that we made today. This is how it was in 2021. This is how it looks now. So,
What's the material of the roof?
I'm sorry.
The material of the roof, is that slate?
It's composite.
Composite.
Yep.
Love
So,
videos.
thank you. So we rebuilt the two-story bay window, as you can see. We restored the original window openings, and I'm highlighting them on the right, but they're hidden in your screen. We installed wood simulated double hung triple glazed windows. I think what I loved about the previous design was that they designed this passive house style of design. Everything is insulated. Usually we were taught back then that the house should breathe and you should have openings. This house does not breathe. All the windows are triple glazed, all the walls are triple insulated. Obviously we introduced fresh air to circulate the air, but it's very low energy demanding house.
You didn't go geothermal with it.
I did not. Gonna be
Got that basement.
No, not anymore.
So we reclaimed the mansard.
Yeah, I think it's just a loose. It's just a loose connection. Give it a second. Oh, yeah, it's coming. Yeah, okay, great.
I think you just tripped on it.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah, good.
Perfect. We're back.
So I'm gonna try not to touch anything at all.
right, it's a real use connection.
Restore and repoint the brick facades. We restored all the brick facades. We repointed everything. Construct passive houses, I mentioned. Create additional window openings. This talks about the facade, the west side that is part of this conversation. So I'll spend some time on that. That's why I kind of highlighted it, not in green. Reopen the areaway and its windows. I will show you later on in this presentation why that was not possible or not a good idea. And excavated full 7'6" cellar. We went away with it. We changed the project when we took over. We simplified the project considerably.
Yeah, so we're no longer excavating 7'6", because the previous application requested a cellar.
Yeah.
But we're no longer, we want that. We just want to leave the basement sort of, just leave it as a basic level.
Okay, so some additional items added during the restoration. We structurally rebuilt this dormer here, this south dormer. As you can see, it was really in bad shape. It was held on by stitches also, so to speak. So we had to bring it down brick by brick and then rebuild it to mimic the old layout. We reconstructed the cornice detail on the turret Eve. And this is a picture from West End Avenue. This is back in 2021, and this is how it looks like now. So as you can see, we rebuilt this, I call it the East dormer. We rebuilt every detail here. We couldn't really salvage what was there. It was really in really bad shape. So we had to go and basically took this material, sent it to a shop in Connecticut and built it from scratch, down to the small details. And then most importantly, we rebuilt the east chimney. So now this is worth emphasizing. The east chimney was not part of the scope of work. It was not required to be rebuilt. 2 months after we changed everything, changed the project, we got away with that roof addition, we set it back even more. We decided not to build the cellar. All this to create a good relationship with the neighbor that was a bit adversarial to the previous owners. But then 2 or 3 months after, the neighbor sells their house next door. So I had new neighbors. So completely unpredictable. I got a break there. So then I saw an opportunity to go and rebuild that chimney. I didn't even ask our neighbors to share the costs. It didn't seem fair to me. I said, we have an opportunity to restore it, to make it beautiful as it was. So we just did it. Of course, with their consent and with filing with LPC. We went back to LPC and said, you guys agreed for us to restore this chimney? I said, of course we do. That was approved at staff level, and I'll go over them a bit later. All right, so in conclusion, this is how it was, this is how we found it, and this is how it looks now. It's still progress, which brings me to the first item I want to discuss today with you. The side facade. So this is how it looked, the side facade looked in 2021. This was the sketch prepared by the former architects. They emulated how the side facade looks, which from that we can derive that the original design looked like this. It's important to note that because the original design is clearly separated between common brick on that line that I drew and face brick on the other side. So the architect knew that the part of the facade is only this 9-foot face brick, and then the rest is just common brick. As you can see, the same architect that designed this very nice, aesthetically pleasing facades, he didn't really give much thought about the west facade. It was mainly driven by the interior layout. This is the elevation that came in front of this board in 2018 by the previous owners. Out of this elevation, as you can see there, the picture covers it, but basically the elevator is next to the shared wall with the neighbors. And you can see that this, you approved this window layout, by the way. This board approved it and LPC approved it as well. You can see, even though it resembles kind of the old window layout, it's still very different. It's a departure from what the architect designed. So
Was the big window there on a staircase landing? Is that why?
I think it was aligned with a staircase, but again, I cannot say that with certainty. So, but the former architects did the same. They basically aligned this window to serve the interior layout. So this is how we changed.
Wow.
All right. This is how we changed the floor plan. So the first decision we made was move the elevator from that north wall adjacent to the neighbor and move it towards the west wall.
I'm lost.
Right. So this is the old elevator layout. This is the old layout that was approved as part of the application. when we came in 2021, we changed the project. So we moved the elevator location from here to here.
And that bottom is the side facade.
When you say
Oh, wait a
side to
minute.
side, this is the
Oh, I
west.
see.
This is
Correct.
the
The
west.
alley.
Oh, now it's
Yes, we keep calling it the side facade because that's what this board called it, and I just wanted to be consistent, but we can call it west facade if it makes it
Well,
easier.
what's it actually facing?
West.
West,
West.
It's facing west.
yeah,
Facing the alley, yeah.
But it's,
it's side yard, it actually is a side yard.
it's a side yard, it's not an alley, yes.
But so to the right, the plan right is West End Avenue. Okay, and then plan bottom is 78th Street. Oh, actually, no, I'm sorry, plan right is 78th Street.
Right,
Okay, forgive me.
plan top is.
Plan top.
Correct. Plan
On
bottom.
this, on these.
Correct.
Yeah, and, okay, so
So there's a round elevator? or
Yeah.
something?
sorry, Clark, the rear yard,
With stairs
or the
around?
side yard,
Yes.
how deep is that?
And almost 10 feet, just shy of 10 feet,
Is the elevator going all the way up to the top?
yes.
Thank you.
So,
So again, this is not what we're building.
Yeah.
This was
Yeah, yeah.
previously reviewed.
Yeah.
The middle is the previously reviewed.
right, okay.
And I repeat that this addition here, which was, I have a small little note here, it was 50 inches over the mansard, was disapproved by this board.
It was visible, it was,
I
yeah.
understand
Yeah.
why. I think what it was is that it was casting a huge shadow on the neighbor, and the neighbor was not happy with
I
it.
think I remember.
So even though LPC approved it eventually with some modifications, the neighbor was still not happy with it, and that's how the lawsuit.
And it wasn't built,
Correct,
It was not.
correct.
but the elevator has already been moved.
Nothing of this
You
was
said
built.
that's current floor plan.
Nothing was built. The project was at standstill. It was stalled until 2021 when I took over.
Right, but when you say current floor plan, so
This
that's
is what's
done already.
Yes.
Very different interior.
Oh, yeah.
So to make it even a bit more telling how much different it was, this is a old roof plan, what was approved and what was approved again in 2018. And the current roof plan, and when I say current roof plan, this was already approved at staff level. So that's why I'm calling it current, right? So as you can see, the previous plan had a one-story addition on top of the roof. It was a livable space. We got away with it, and we just built this clear story, which is open below. So there's no livable space on that level, just a roof garden.
When you say first floor,
It's open is like two floors open. Because there is no floor here, right? So this part here and this part here are open to below. So you come out from the stairs, you come from the third floor, you come to this level, you have an elevator landing, a stair landing, and then you go outside the roof. So this is what was approved by LPC at staff level. So at the time, we were just trying to pay attention to that rooftop addition. We said we will not do what the former owner was intending to do. And by the way, we're not gonna build a cellar. We made those decisions for two reasons. Well, for one reason only, just to pacify the neighbor. Because building a cellar, it would have required underpinning. It would have, really inconvenienced the neighbors. And the rooftop, they were never happy with, even though LPC approved it, they were not happy with. So I said, you know what, let's just scrap both of those and simplify the design of the building. So here we are in 2023, this is what was approved, which brings us to what's being proposed. That's not on the line. So this is what's being proposed. Notice a couple of things. First, we never touched the face brick part of the west side. That stays. We didn't want to play with that. We kept the same amount of windows. All we did was just take this and align it with the silent windows. And that kind of layout, just like the original layout, and I'm keeping the original layout here for a reason, to go back to compare what it was, right? This side was driven by the interior layout. This was driven by the interior layout. And this new design is also driven by the interior layout. As you can see, this windows here align with the elevator. So the approach there is for some light to come through the window and get reflected in the glass elevator. The elevator is a glass elevator, and then diffuse the light indoors.
It looks like you're eliminating those that I think are original wooded windows. And,
Yes.
so it's, on that floor and others for straight rectangular modern windows with Juliet balconies over there.
Yes, yes, that's the intent.
I mean, it's striking to me that you've tried so hard to replicate original features on the West End and 78th Street side and then completely unhistoricize this facade.
I just took the architect's opinion. He literally drew a line there and said, this is face window, this is face bricks, and this is just common brick. So if
I
the
mean, brick,
architect,
I mean, the windows.
no, I understand, but in my view, the architect, the original architect, he didn't really care about this facade, right? He designed this on this facade. So he clearly did not pay attention to what was going on here. This design was driven by the interior layout. We're basically doing the same. We're driving this design by the interior layout, and this board agreed basically on how insignificant this elevation is. But this is the hardest part of my presentation. This was already built.
Oh.
These windows are all,
Yes,
so that's these on the left.
on the left side that you can see
So then I don't
partially.
understand, you're coming for approval of, did you get, LPC staff approval or any other approval? So,
No,
so
So this is a legalization.
legalization.
Let him explain.
it's not legalization. You can term it that way. Let me first explain why it was built. It was not built out of arrogance or defiance at all. This layout that you can see here, this exact layout, went in front of LPC together with an east chimney. When we presented the east chimney extension, we presented this as well. So LPC said, we will approve the east chimney at staff level, but we cannot approve this. You have to go to the community board for this. And we said, fine, makes sense.
But this was already built.
No, not yet.
Oh,
At that point, yeah.
This is
What year?
beginning of either end of 2023 or beginning of
Okay.
2024.
But then it got built, so what happened?
She's trying to explain. Let him finish.
So I go away overseas in the summer of 2024. We were working on the visual, on the primary facades. I told the masonry contractor, just concentrate on the primary facades until we get an approval from the board and LPC on the west facade. I go away to visit my ailing mother in summer of 2024, and when I come back, sure enough, they had started to rebuild that facade because they just, I don't know if it was on purpose or if they just clearly confused the drawings. They got me, but by the time I returned, all of this facade had been rebuilt, and just this top part had not been rebuilt, had not been built yet. So at that time, I had to make a decision, either to tear down what they built and bring it back to either what it was or what was approved, and then come here in front of you, present, hopefully get an approval, and then go back and rebuild what was already built, which was a bit counterintuitive. So I took a risk and said, okay, let's leave it the way it is now. Let me go to the board, let me ask for forgiveness. And then hopefully the board will agree with me that this facade has very minimal visibility and it bears no significance on the rest of the house. And, but what we did though is, even though we removed the scaffolding, if you remember, if you ever walked West End Avenue, we had scaffolding all around the building. We removed the scaffolding on the West End Avenue and 78th Street, but we kept the scaffolding on the side yard just to be prepared for an eventual denial. And then two things happened. My loan was with First Republic. They got defunct. Chase took over. Chase said, you have to close down this construction, it's taking too long. So they were putting pressure on me to finish the construction. Then the next door neighbor, which they have been fantastic throughout this process, they said, Aldi, you gotta remove this facade. This scaffolding is just taking too long. It creates a shadow on our backyards. So at that time, I had to make another decision and just remove that scaffolding as well. I sincerely wish that this could have been a lot easier if I came to you with this not built.
So here's what I don't get about this. With the entire fenestration on this west facade, totally changed. That doesn't happen overnight. And even if you were off in some other country with your mother, you're the architect by that time, right?
Yeah.
I mean, architects come and look at things and nobody noticed, hey, wait a minute, they were like over several months completely changing the windows. It doesn't make sense to me.
You're right. There was a lapse. We were sort of, that scaffolding was up and it was really hard to navigate.
Rebuilding the wall and the openings that we didn't have installed windows. So at the time I could have still.
But still, the openings are
Held
quite
back.
different.
I mean, Klari,
Yeah.
I think it's a very fascinating question to understand like how this happened,
Yeah.
but for the purposes of this board,
Right.
we're just gonna look at this de novo.
Wow.
Would we have approved this? I understand where you're coming from, but I would encourage us to remember like, what is our responsibility?
No, I understand that, Adam, but I
But
think
wait
the
a
history of
minute,
how we got
because-
here has some relevance to our judging.
Exactly, and I'm kind of mystified that it was holly go lightly all over the building. You lost control of your design. You were doing additional work that was not sanctioned or, because I tried to look at the filed plans of the DOB. Not all of the pieces are even there. It's a real difficult decision that you've asked us to look at because the most of the brickwork is new. Windows are new. The roof shape is new. Everything has a composite little trinket on it, which may look right, but it's wrong because it doesn't reflect the original building. That's what makes me very concerned about how we're going to look at.
But in
I get that,
project.
Klari, Tate, just understand where you're coming from. What I would prefer us to do is let's get through the whole presentation and then if this is a pertinent thing to figure out how we got here in terms of whether we approve or disapprove, let's have a discussion
I'm
then,
fine
but
with
I prefer
that.
if we just
I'm
kept
fine
moving.
with that, Anna, but I just would like to be clear, there's no violation.
No violation.
The legal status with LPC on this is,
No, LPC saw it and they gave us a warning. They said, well, that's their course of business. They have to send you a warning, and unless you either get it approved or get it back to what was approved, then you get a violation. That's just
okay,
the normal course of business.
is there a length of time, I mean, I don't know these procedures well enough, and you're obviously living with them. Is there a time period for this warning?
Yes, usually.
It's
40 days?
I'm not entirely sure, but we were just discussing all of this and this is the first step,
Okay.
you know, yeah, so we're in that sort of warning track.
So let's hear the rest.
So procedural again. LPC staff has seen this, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Have they given you any indication as to where they are on it?
The only indication they gave us is you have to go to the community board and present it for the community board.
Well, we presented this to them and they were warm. They said, this is a great presentation. You know, talk to the board. We understand that rationale. But no, they didn't approve, but they said, this is a great presentation. That's a great presentation. We understand the rationale and the history and, you know,
Staff
don't
can
disagree.
approve If it's here,
Exactly.
it requires a public hearing.
But,
Right.
but the only interaction we had was with staff, and staff understood, and I don't want to like overblow this because you have to make their own judgment, but they understood the rationale of this west facade being almost two facades, the finished brick and the coarse brick.
On the other hand, it is visible enough because of the alleyway or whatever.
Side yard.
Side yard, that it cannot be approved at staff level.
Right,
So,
yeah. Okay, let's, yeah.
So just to conclude this, changes are again confined within common brick. The window configuration is just like the original design, and the approved design is driven by the interior layout. And these windows are really transiently and minimally visible. So just rehearsing for this meeting today, I said, let me stop again and let me see how transient this view is.
Can I ask a
Please.
question? How much of the original building remains, or has it been completely gutted?
The
and
interior?
all?
Interior?
No,
Completely
the
gutted.
exterior.
Oh, the exterior,
How
Oh,
much
no.
is left of the
Everything
original?
except the, yeah. The
everything
dormer
except
was
for the.
rebuilt and the
To
chimney.
restore the west
Yeah,
end
they've
and
restored it
78th
all.
Street
Yeah.
side.
Everything but that facade.
Yes.
But did landmarks,
Yeah.
sanction and
Oh, yeah.
approve of
Yeah.
everything?
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
Okay.
Again, the only two, remember, the two things that are kind of before this board are the side facade, the side yard facade and the entrance, which we're about to discuss.
So I think we get it about the side yard,
Yeah,
so let's
yeah.
work on the entrance.
See if I can reshare this.
Oh, there. See myself on like.
It's got a very sophisticated setup.
What's the procedural history with regard to this part of the app?
And the second part.
The
The
side.
second,
that was the
Procedural
side
history.
yard.
No, right, no,
nothing's-
yeah, no one's has seen that. That's brand new.
That-
Yeah,
okay. Has that,
Right, oh,
that
yes,
hasn't been done?
that has not been done. No, that hasn't been done, right.
So this
No, no,
is,
yeah,
this is de novo, this is.
Yeah.
yeah, that hasn't been done,
We'll
and
keep
this is like all new and proposed, and this is what we want to
Right,
change.
Gotcha.
It's important to note, and I know we're kind of stuck on this picture on this slide, here, but important to note, this is the verbatim language from the board.
Yeah.
The resolution. It says, at the side facade facing the side court and partially visible from public way, creating additional window openings, which we are doing, and modifying the existing penetration pattern, which we're doing, creating a more even window pattern. We're kind of like staying true to that statement. We're not really doing something that does not fit that approval.
We then approve.
One thing that would help
Please.
is we only are looking at 2/3 of the building. It would help us to understand how much of the original,
No, this is the building.
no,
This
but
is
it's,
not
it's
the-
hidden by the hoarding behind it.
Yeah, but you can't take down this construction.
Oh,
brick
well,
stuff.
well, you know, actually, yeah, hold on, actually, in the next slides, you'll see, you might actually see the other facades, because that's part of the presentation. So
Because
maybe at
we
the end.
want- I'm trying to get you
Mhm.
to a place where you can move it a little further along,
Yeah, well,
That's exactly what we're gonna
to
do.
restore what didn't happen before.
That's exactly what we're gonna do.
Sorry,
Uh,
grammar eludes me.
Okay,
Because I think it's very difficult to look at a half-baked donut, you know what I mean?
sure,
So
yeah,
I think you need to do a diagram that shows this was then, this is now, and this is what's left, and this is what we want to do properly.
Yeah.
As,
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we're good. Let's
Yeah,
keep it.
let's
Yeah.
move on.
again,
yeah, but
if
it's
you have that
not
same.
shown that way.
Here we go.
Well, it might be.
so, I say transient here. I went this afternoon and I walked on the other side of the street. On 78th Street on the sidewalk. and I took a very slow pace. Well, you know, for how long this facade from here to here is visible?
3 seconds.
14 seconds. That's it.
I guess I walk fast.
You are bad, you're running.
You were on your.
I was
The
running
segue.
away from something.
While we're on this picture, and I'm sorry to take 20 seconds from the committee's time, but
Of course, anytime.
if I were looking only at the right hand,
The elevation.
the elevation, I knew there was a there. I would have been like, "Ah, what are you doing? Seeing it in reality, it just seems to work much better with the.
Especially in 10 years when that tree is fully grown. you won't
There you
see
go.
it.
If I could just ask,
Please.
is this facade set back from
No.
the,
It's on the same-
it's all on the
Again,
same
that's that.
plane? Different brick, but same plane?
Correct. And,
Okay.
and again, it was different brick to begin with.
Right,
Yeah.
right,
So we didn't change that.
right.
All right, well, just for reference, this is how it
Yeah.
was. All right, so this brings us to the second item we're going to discuss tonight, the basement entrance. So when we changed the project, we created the studio apartment on the basement level, on the east side of the basement level, which basically is facing Western Avenue here and 17th Street here. And we genuinely tried to preserve this entrance here, with the existing entrance, and get to that studio apartment that way. So this is the historical south facade photo from the 1940s. As you can see, I'm sorry, this is where the entrance was, right? Right here. The entrance was
Down.
right under this window bay, the bay window. And this is the elevation that the former architects prepared and approved. This was the approved elevation. So the entrance, actually, the old entrance was from here, but we wanted to emulate the historical pictures, so we have the entrance from here.
On 78.
Yeah.
On 78th Street.
Correct.
Yes. So we built the bay window as you all saw. And here's what we got into. We got into a conflict on the stair clearance. After we built the bay window, rebuild the bay window, thank you. This is the clearance we have, only 74 inches under the window. And the side clearance is only 21.5 inches. So obviously this doesn't meet the egress code.
Right.
But with most of us help, I could realize, I think it's 90-inch clearance for egress. So we had to come up with an alternate entry or access to the basement. So what we're proposing, and this has not happened. Sorry, this has not happened.
You're gonna need therapy. by the time you finish this.
We will too.
I know, that's the worst part.
Isn't that what
So
this is?
we want to convert the existing entrance to an areaway, since it's not a legal egress. And we want to build the entry from the West End Avenue side. So this is the approved east facade. And this is what we're proposing. Just a stair right here on the end that emulates these other stairs of the neighbors. We'll get to that in a second.
Would that be an entrance just to the studio apartment?
Yes, yeah, that's all. So I want to take a few minutes to discuss this areaway.
So we have an actual photo of that east facade now.
Not of the first floor, because again, it's covered by, but-
Closure.
but I
What about
did
the-
actually show,
Yeah.
a picture of that in one of the former slides. If you want, you can go back there. All right, so this highlighted area in red, this was supposed to be the areaway, right? So the
Right.
former architects just made an assumption that this was always dug in.
Yeah.
And it was in the basement level, at the basement level. What we found when we started these windows, it's full size, hoping that we would be able to excavate the basement, the areaway there. What we actually found was that it was never an areaway, it was never excavated, they just stopped in here. And these windows, these small little windows were always the historic windows. We dug in here, we saw that this retaining wall was not actually a retaining wall, it was just over the sidewalk. And there was no evidence of these windows ever being filled. It was just the original windows. So now, please.
I'm just gonna ask, if you could show us a photograph of the West End Avenue side with with the other houses. So
I think I have it there. Yeah. I have it. So, this was approved at step, or is about to be approved at staff level, by the way. This is something that they said they will approve. But the reason why,
The area way?
yeah, not excavating the area way and not, opening up the windows. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is that I always made an assumption that this door, this full door, and this full window, which are existing there, serve the entire areaway, right? Because I thought that it was a former areaway. Actually, now that it does not serve this and it never served this, it begs the question, why would they have a door there and a window and a full-size window? So this is the picture from 1940s, the text photo. As you can see, and this is a picture taken from this angle right here. So you can see the existing door here. You can see the existing window. I can't think of any other reason why they would have a door there unless they had stairs. Trying to make the case.
There are many examples of this where you have a tilt and turn window or one that flips out, because those are the cellars and you need ventilation. Older appliances for heating and even cooling need to have airflow.
Understood.
So you need to talk to somebody who understands mechanics and heating.
I'm a professional engineer. Just
I didn't know that, so
Right.
I'm sorry that
No, it's
you
all right.
are in this
No, that's
predicament.
right. That's
But
right.
you need to do some calculations because otherwise this isn't gonna fly. Because
What
they need
part of it, so I understand.
the lower
Oh,
level.
the lower level windows.
Yes.
Then Mustafa, you can chime in about the light and
Yeah, there's
ventilation
adequate, so it's
calculation.
a basement, it's a basement level.
It
and-
is, but you're gonna need fresh air.
Oh, yes, of course.
Okay.
There-
I
There's
just want-
fresh air coming in.
Yeah, and these
There's
are,
fresh air coming in.
I'm sorry, it's just.
No,
that
no, it's a
you're
great
only-
comment.
I'm only looking at this.
so
for the
what
last
he's
half
trying to
hour, so-
say is sort of evidence, and he's building up to this, is that that was historic and it was existing, and
Mhm.
the reason that door is there is because
I believe there were a set of stairs there historically. So I'm listing the reasons why I believe that to be true. This is the first reason. There is no other reason to have a full door there and a full window unless there was a set of stairs, because it leads to where.
I'm now confused as how this relates to the restored bay window that is vacated.
Klari, the original entrance would go under the bay window.
Right.
It wasn't tall enough. So
Yeah.
now we need to move the entrance to the west end facade
I
and
understand
what
that's what it's about.
what he's
What
saying
is on
is
the other side of that door?
the studio
The
apartment.
Right. access to the
Okay,
studio.
so
apartment.
So that is an existing entrance.
Well, that's what I'm trying to prove.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a door there. He's
There's a
trying to
door
say
there.
that this door was here and that there used to be a staircase. So putting the staircase back is putting it back. It's not a
Yeah.
new staircase.
So,
So let's
Yeah.
so
find out
the,
what you got.
so the entrance is there, the access is there, you just need a stair
Yeah.
to get to the door.
Yeah, yes.
The stair back. Bingo.
So how much width do you need to
Well,
create that?
We're
let's
gonna
find
do
out
it.
about this.
It's the same width as the other window, as the other neighbors. It's
Yeah.
exactly the same setup. So reason number two, as you can see here,
There we go.
this is the design pattern that they have.
This is
on
the
the
neighbor?
adjacent.
Yeah, exactly.
So this one is the first house of the row. I just made a little square there. This one is the other two houses, and this is their basement entrances.
So you want to do the same thing
Right.
as this.
You can.
Exactly.
The door is there,
The door is there,
Exactly.
the
the window
window
is
is there, you just need a stair.
Right.
So
Stair back.
we're only charged with approving or disapproving the stair.
The stair and, yeah, the entry in that
Yeah.
cheek wall.
The end.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and here's the third reason, because so far it's
I'm
kind
a
of
little
speculation.
No, you,
It's okay.
oh, no, it's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot.
So far it's kind of speculation, but here's the kicker. So I always thought that this was an existing stair, right? If you can zoom in here, you can visibly see that this color differs from the rest of the curb.
Yes.
So what I did is, I did an investigation here and I found that different color is poured concrete. It's not the original stone.
So there was an opening there.
Exactly. And then
Yeah.
I took a picture from the inside. So I chipped away the concrete. You can visibly see this is concrete.
Yeah.
This part here, or this part here, and this is the original brand. So it's hard to not believe that there was a set of stairs there, right? So in conclusion, bringing you back to your favorite topic, this is what we're looking for, to go from here to there, and then to go from this approved south facade with a door here to this south facade. This is the only difference. And from that approved east facade to this. Okay.
I would suggest that you do a mock-up. It doesn't have to be real, but we could do something that will show the different levels and different types of fenestration and things.
It's there.
Right, it's, the door and the window are existing, and we're restoring that. And that's been approved, and that's, what you may actually want to, maybe we'll go back to the slide, is kind of what that entry looks like. And truthfully, that entry is already there on every other row house along West End Avenue, and we're sort of just relinking them all together.
So the difference between on the east is
Yeah.
the gate. I'll just think
Is the gate stairs?
Correct.
Can you just
You wanna show that picture? Can you go back?
just one of those early pictures you showed, not the last one you showed, the early pictures of the whole row
I
of
think it
row
was like
houses.
I think it was like
No,
slide
not
number,
that.
I think it was like slide 1 or 2. Yeah,
The full color
Yeah.
slides.
yeah, it was a good picture. Yeah.
The very first slide.
Okay.
We'll do that with some patience, sorry.
Never gonna ask you for your drawings from the 90s.
Okay, there it is.
Yeah.
That's it.
So yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't do justice to see like the low sort of cheap wall and the entry. But again, as you can see, Frederick White in 1886 had done all of these sort of together and making these row houses all one, or all at the same time. And the entry to each of these units, each of these houses has a separate basement entry. And that's kind of, that's what I was saying, there was it, and we're just bringing that back.
When I see between the two cars, between the white truck and the next
Uh-huh.
wagon, that black box, is that the entryway?
Yeah, correct.
That's the
Right,
entryway.
you might
That's
actually,
the entryway
Yeah.
So you're
for
gonna
the middle,
reproduce
Yeah.
that base.
the middle building.
and again, the door and the window are already there. It's just the stair that was removed.
So-
And,
So my suggestion is, I think everyone, if we split them again, I think everyone is okay immediately with the new access. So I'm gonna make a motion to say that appropriate this new entryway to the studio apartment.
But I have a question, the
Okay.
qualification is, we would like to see the documents.
No,
I don't think we do. Oh, then maybe
What
we-
doc-
When they, because they're changing where the little staircase goes, where the fenestration goes, I think we
No,
should
this
have
has
that.
nothing to do with fenestration.
yeah,
They're just putting in a gate and a stairway to an
That
existing
is
door.
fenestration, that is gate.
Paige, if you want more information, I think it's appropriate to vote no on this, but I think the majority of the committee is comfortable
I'm
with this.
happy with what they're gonna propose, but there should be something to memorialize what this new configuration is gonna be.
That's what
I
they
think we've
said.
seen it.
That's what they
So I'm
said.
gonna make that motion. Yes.
Let's vote.
I thought I saw when I was trying briefly to review the plans this afternoon, some reference to rooftop addition where it completely eliminated the prior rooftop addition, because there was something about meeting the prior concern or something, but nothing now on rooftop addition.
No, we scaled back the rooftop addition. We do have a rooftop addition, but it's completely within mansard. It's completely invisible from the street.
So
That's the
that's
clear,
built.
that
did
clear
that get
story.
LPC
Yes,
approval?
yes,
Staff
yes.
level?
Oh, yes.
Oh, okay, so it was, a different rooftop addition
Yeah.
was done, but it's not before us.
Okay,
I
great.
just have
So,
one
Jake,
quick
let's-
question.
it better be quick.
It's quick. I think the rendering of the proposed gate, the gate itself seems higher than the rail.
Here.
Never mind.
Great, so motion
It's,
to,
it's not higher,
Right,
it's
no, yeah,
bigger.
exactly.
motion to approve the new entrance on the west end facade. All in favor? Okay, 6-0-0-0. Okay, can you go to the image of the fenestration as the photo you took as it appears today of the fenestration on the west facade?
That's,
This one, perfect, okay. This photo in the center, we are very lucky tonight in some ways, in that we are not looking at a rendering. We are literally looking at this. So what I would ask is that people look at this and decide that this, to me, not very visible, you know, you can see it from an angle, that this would be either you think it's appropriate or you don't think it's appropriate. I will speak for myself. I think that this is perfectly appropriate. The 9 feet of face brick, that darker red brick, has been maintained. It is so inconsequential to the rest of the building, which is so really, really nicely detailed and has had a tremendous amount of thought put into it. So for me, I think that if this came to us and someone said, this is what we're gonna build, I would say, that looks great. So that's my opinion. I would like people to focus on this. Don't think about how we got here. I understand that it's very problematic how we got here. We dealt with that 2 months ago, but that is, you know,
we've
Yeah.
dealt with that a lot.
2 months ago, we had a different building with a similar thing.
Yeah, we've
But-
done.
Yeah, if we don't want this to happen, we need to do a better job of wandering around and checking on sites ourselves. So again, looking at this photo, either you're okay with it or you're not okay with it. Would love to hear people's thoughts.
I'm with Adam. I think it's pleasing and it doesn't distract from the rest of the building, which would be my concern, but I think it's appropriate.
For me, it's appropriate too, and we're not here to punish anybody, so.
I appreciate that.
I agree.
I would like to see the document that we can't see behind the hoarding. So it's, the package is all there.
I don't understand that.
Right now,
Forgive
there's
me. Forgive
there's
me.
hoardings.
Yeah,
You
Yeah.
can't see through them.
Okay.
We're not looking, it's called a hoarding where you put, you hide the work behind.
You mean that
Protect.
on that
No,
lower?
the
No,
green,
the
the green
green,
plywood.
look.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah,
protection.
I
Yeah.
see it.
Yeah,
It's
could
protect-
you
Yeah.
please add
We-
that?
We have, so, yes, the
I just
elevation.
don't, I just don't see how that's significant to the
yeah,
issue.
I think what I
I
would,
think it's very important.
Okay, then
because
vote
it's
no.
on the-
Well,
No,
I'm
I
sorry,
want to
what-
vote yes to support this.
Can I- can I ask
Only,
Paige, what I would say is that if we were just looking at this de novo, all we would have to go on is the rendering on the right. So
Yeah.
you can see the lower 2 stories from the rendering on the right, and normally in commission practice, we would only be looking at a rendering. So
And the
I
other facade,
understand.
the other facade from 78th Street, you wouldn't see this. So this is the only elevation where this is visible. And so if you took any other view, it just wouldn't be visible. So this is kind of, this is the most important.
What's behind the green?
What's behind the green? What's behind the green?
Do you mean, because I mean, I've been there.
The hoarding, your,
So-
your,
So the boarding, the building
your
is,
work construction
it's,
fencing,
right, it's still under construction, so we have to keep the construction fencing there.
correct? But
Right,
what
so-
goes behind it?
The windows on the right.
Behind here, I will
wanna show her
give
the
you,
elevation
I will
first?
give you a glimpse.
The rendering shows you what's behind.
I will give you a glimpse of what's exactly behind that, oops, sorry, wrong way.
In fact, I think it's better than the last one that was.
I kind of,
String.
I'm partial.
This is what's behind that boarding. This is
Okay.
the bottom,
Oh,
this is the
That
bottom
leads
of
you to
that.
the cellar,
Here.
okay, or the.
So
basement.
basically, that's what hidden from
Okay.
that board. This is a picture from within. And then you can't, unfortunately, I didn't take a picture of the door, of the main door, but we restored the main door to its original condition.
I would recommend that you include that in your package to landmarks.
Yeah,
Of course, yes.
Yeah, landmarks
Sorry.
wouldn't approve anything.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think I'm gonna lose this vote, but, I think, pretty sure about that. But I just think this whole set of, and leaving aside how you got there, which is a pretty difficult story. I just think this set of windows is so inappropriate to this building. It's a fairly wide, what do you call it? Not alleyway, but
Side yard.
Side yard, right, call it a side yard. So
29 feet
yeah, I mean, it's pretty deep, and so as you're walking along 78th Street, you kind of really see this.
or 14 seconds.
And it just, I mean, I appreciate that you've got 9 feet of, if that's what it is, of finished brick and then different brick and all those arguments, but it's just a set of windows that is like the extreme that under pressure, we might say yes to on a rear facade and a donut, when they're not visible from a public way, but this is very visible from a public way and just wrong for the building, so I'm a no.
Okay, I'm gonna put a motion on the table
No,
to,
'cause I
okay,
didn't
yeah.
realize that those windows are new, and I'm in your camp.
Okay, yeah.
We're gonna lose.
I'm gonna put a motion
It
on the
doesn't
table
matter.
to
We've done our work. We have.
approve the west side yard facade as appropriate. All in favor? Against?
What do we have here?
4-2-0.
Okay, got it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
When, yeah, do you have a date with Landmark?
Yes, we do. June 17th.
Okay, and then my personal thing, not committee opinion, like the colorized version of the 1939 tax
Oh, nice.
photo.
Thanks for noticing.
I was like, I don't know how I feel about this, but risk it with LPC. We'll see what they say.
Yeah, again, we shared this with them yesterday.
Yeah.
They were like pleased with the presentation.
And I just want to say, this is a beautiful building,
It really is.
and you've taken something that was bordering on an eyesore, and you've made a gift to the neighborhood. I live on West End Avenue, and I really appreciate what you've done, especially with those two.
Thank you. Thank you for your
We
support.
really tried. We really
We're
tried.
almost there, and then we really needed this support to just finish off this project. It's been quite long, but I appreciate it.
Well,
Thank
thank you
you.
for your patience.
Thanks.
Of
Of course, it's my.
Remember, God is in the details, okay? And you at least
That's
got
my
that
apartment
part.
page.
I know, that's one of the things with you. Guys, one quick thing before we go.
Yes.
There's a hearing about the next landmarks, I think it's next Tuesday, about children's museum.
Oh,
They
yeah.
have-
Okay.
Meeting finished?
Yes,
Ah,
thank you,
yes.
thank you so much.
We can go over that. Can we go over